Good afternoon, welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. Everything is fine and dandy here. I have the place to myself, so I thought I'd make a very quick video about some very special perfume. And it's one that was released today. So it came as a bit of a surprise. I got a message from Chris from Fragmental, one of my favourite YouTubers. He sent me a message saying, because I know that he had a perfume coming out that he'd made with Aaron Terence Hughes called Smolder. So he sent me a message and said, look, would you like to try the perfume? I'm going to send you some for your enjoyment, not for me to record a video with or to slap all over Instagram. But he sent me the perfume and said, look, I hope you enjoy it. This is for you to enjoy. And guess what? I did enjoy it, so I am going to make a video. So let's have a look at it. It's called Smolder, and there's the box it comes in. And apparently these boxes are, you know, this style box is very much from the Aaron Terence Hughes collection. They all look like this now, I believe. Okay, so that's the box it comes in. And here's the bottle itself. This is a 50ml bottle, which I'm ever so grateful for, because obviously I wasn't expecting it and it arrived. So, you know, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. Let's have a look at it. It's very heavy. You have a metallic plate and this sort of very heavy black bottle with a magnetic cap. All excellent. So what's the perfume like? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm wearing it at the moment and I have been wearing it for a few days. I was lucky to get this before it came out on general sale. So I've had a chance to try and get to understand it. And it's been quite it's been quite a task understanding it, because it came with no notes or anything like that. So it's just me trying to explore it and try and work it out. And now I've actually seen the notes, and that's thrown me out completely. So what we'll do is we'll have a spray, we'll look at the notes, and then we'll talk a bit more about how it wears, how much it costs, who can wear it, that kind of thing. So, right, let me find the nozzle. Here we go. Excellent spray. I mean, the bottle's class. Very, very weighty. I'm really, really happy with the presentation. So this is a 50ml bottle, and it also comes in 10ml bottles, which look like this. This isn't it. This is another one from the collection. But these are the 10ml bottles. Again, I love these 10mls. They're such a cool idea, and I think every house should make smaller bottles. I think it's the perfect way to expand your collection and explore fragrances without absolutely blowing your budget. So let's just let that settle down, and then we'll go through the notes and we'll have a chat about the perfume. Okay, so Smolder. I have to say, from the get-go, I wasn't a fan of the name of the perfume. Not until I tried it anyway, and then I kind of understood it. Smolder to me just sort of kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you, I mean, I'm old, so I remember them, these Mills and Boon sort of romantic novels that you used to see in second-hand bookshops everywhere in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, with these romantic pictures on, and there'd always be slogans like his smouldering eyes, you know, her smouldering charm, her smouldering good looks, and all the rest of it. So I thought, I'm not too sure about Smolder. I think it may be a little bit naff. But I did change my opinion on that after I've worn it a couple of times, and I actually get why it's called Smolder, and I do agree. I think the name is pretty cool. So that's the perfume settled down, and this is where the fun began for me, because obviously I was smelling it without notes, and I was like, oh, okay, I think this is in there. I think that's that. The base notes you can recognise pretty easily, but the top was a really bit confusing for me. So when the notes came through, I was completely sort of flabbergasted, because at the top you have neroli, you have lemon, and then you have tobacco, and you have frankincense, and then you have sandalwood, you have essential skin accord, which is a new one on me, and then you have patchouli, and you have incense. They're the official notes from Aaron's website. But when you smell it, you're like, well, no, I don't get it. I really cannot, I can't translate those notes to this perfume. It's been a bit of a quandary for me, and I'm kind of working it out. As I say, the base is really familiar, but the top, I don't get at all. It kind of implies that there's neroli and lemon, and I'm sure there is, but I can't pick it up as neroli and lemon. What I get is a kind of a Middle Eastern, slightly exotic vibe from it, and in that, I'm sure I'm getting some saffron and this sort of sweet and intense thing. And then it kind of dawned on me, I think what they've done here is the notes are listed like top, middle and bottom, but it's almost as if the top's so fleeting, or the top's been done away with. So it's almost like you have a middle and base notes only. And if you look at it as tobacco and frankincense with some citrus around it, then yes, it does kind of click into place. But when I see neroli, I kind of expect neroli to do a certain thing. And I have learnt my lesson with that before with Sean Mayer's sun-soaked, because that has got neroli in it, but it smells like nothing I've ever smelled before. So maybe the neroli is a really exotic one. Maybe it's more of this sort of Egyptian neroli absolute or something like that I'm just not that familiar with, because for me, I don't really get neroli at all. I get an explosion, a cacophony of smells that just bangs out on your skin, and then it becomes very dark and interesting, but it still to me retains quite a Middle Eastern vibe, and I really like that. It's a very interesting perfume, and as it hits your skin, it does kind of come out in a big cloud, so you're well aware of it. It certainly arrives with some gusto and some presence, but don't forget, this I think is meant to be a date night fragrance, so it's never going to be a projection beast. It's incredibly long lasting. I've worn it to work 3 times now since I've had it, and I've noticed that for the first hour and a half, it's kind of everywhere, and then it retreats back, but it leaves you in a bubble, so you are always aware of it. 6, 7, 8 hours after, you're not looking for the perfume at all. It's just floating all around you, but it's not vulgar, it's not projecting massively, it's not shouting out, look at me, look at me. It's really well behaved. It's quite a sensual perfume in that respect. So you're in this beautiful bubble. So anyone close to you is going to be aware of it, but you're not projecting to the other side of the room, which is exactly what you want from a date night fragrance. And because it has got such good longevity, you can go out in the evening, and when you come home in the early hours, full of the joys of spring and ready to spend some quality time with your beloved, you will still smell amazing. So all good in terms of performance. Now back to the perfume. This explosion on the top becomes quite dark and a little bit intense, and I love it, and that's the tobacco and the frankincense floating around. And what I also like is there's a little sweetness, and I think it's almost like this mystery saffron accord that's giving some sweetness. It blends with the frankincense. The frankincense isn't too overpowering. It leans almost a little bit more citrusy, which you sometimes get from frankincense. I don't know what the sensual skin accord is. I've never come across it before. And I'm assuming it's almost like a muskiness that floats around with this. And then you have a light incense on the base. The perfume does feel a little smoky at times, and I think this is why Smolder is such a good name for it, because as you're smelling this sort of wonderful explosion of accords and nuances on your skin, you just pick up on a slight little bit of smoke. It's not like it's doused in birch tar, and it's not too strong or anything like that. It's like it's literally smouldering, so that works really well. Now what I do find interesting, and something I really appreciate with this, is although it's a fairly sweet tobacco, I mean the tobacco in it is good, it does play quite an important role in it, and the tobacco kind of links that sort of mid into the base. It sort of draws the materials together and holds everything together, so it's quite an important part of it, and you would class this as a tobacco based fragrance because it's a nice dry tobacco in there. But what I like about it even more because of this is they've resisted the urge to do what so many houses are doing at the moment, which is making a really ultra sweet really dry tobacco. You see a lot of houses do it, and it seems very much of the moment that everyone's kind of churning out these really sort of syrupy sweet tobacco fragrances, and they haven't done that. They've used some sweetness and a very lovely tobacco note to tie together very well. So it gives it a little bit of uniqueness. So, you know, there's quite a few tobacco-based fragrances on the market, as I've just mentioned, but it's not like any of them. You're not going to smell it and think, oh, this reminds me of this, or this reminds me of that. It's unique enough to warrant you having a look at it, even if you've got quite a tobacco-heavy collection. So you're not, you haven't got to worry about it smelling like anything that's already in your collection, which is another good angle for the perfume, I think. They've obviously looked at the market very specifically. Now, on the website, it says that it's been macerating for over a year. So, you know, basically, this perfume is ready to go now. You're not going to have any performance issues with it. As I've already mentioned, it is a long-lasting perfume. So, you know, straight out of the bottle, you're not going to have any problems with it. So I think it's well done. I think there's a lot of thought gone into it. I've been interested in sort of seeing the brief, you know, when Chris and Aaron were talking about how they were going to make the perfume, what the motivation for it was, or, you know, the ideas behind it. Because it's not at all what I expected the perfume to smell like. I thought it would be much more boozy, and it's not. It's not at all like, you know, I imagined it would be, which is a really good thing, because what they've done is they've achieved something rather lovely. And again, you know, if you like this kind of dry, dusty, semi-sweet, tobacco-infused perfume, you really are going to enjoy this well. The sandalwood is creamy, and it forms the base of the fragrance. That is the thing that I become most aware of. It's almost like this creamy patchouli and sandalwood have blended together to give this warm, smooth and luxurious base. It's really nice to wear. It does feel almost like dusty. I wouldn't say, I wanted to say powdery, but the more you smell it, I wouldn't say it's powdery at all. I think it's more of a dusty kind of vibe to it. And that, again, this could be just my interpretation because I've already got it in my head that this smells like a Middle Eastern fragrance, and my head is now taken away to exotic locations, and I'm thinking it more of a dusty kind of vibe than a powdery one. But it's really, really lovely. So in terms of, you know, how the perfume smells lovely and it performs excellently. It's a very long lasting perfume. So in terms of where it can be worn, I think because it's not too loud, it can be worn all year round. I don't think, despite the fact that it's got neroli and lemon in the top, or if the top exists, I wouldn't look at this as any kind of fresh fragrance at all. I wouldn't be rushing out to wear it on a hot day, for example. But in terms of who can wear this, I think this is perfectly unisex. I think it does lean slightly masculine, and it's one that I would certainly wear if I was going out on a date with my wife. I think she would smell great wearing it as well. I think it may be a little dark for my wife to enjoy, but she likes it on me. She doesn't like the top very much, but she does like the base. She thinks it smells lovely, especially after an hour or so. So I think it's perfectly unisex. I think it will suit the more mature fragrance enthusiast. I think it might, although it is quite sweet in the dry down, I don't think it's sweet enough for the younger thrusters to properly enjoy. And I'm sorry, thrusters, I know I accuse you of only enjoying sweet fragrances, and I keep saying that. I must stop it. But in all seriousness, I think it's pretty ageless. I think anyone can wear this one. It's really, really nice. I think it's a gorgeous perfume for a day. I really do think it's excellent for that kind of thing. And I think it will do well. My only concern with this is it's going to be judged not as a perfume, but because we've got two larger than life personalities that have come together to make this fragrance, you know, I just want to make sure that the perfume is judged as a standalone perfume and not because of the people behind it, which I suppose is quite difficult when you have got quite, you know, sort of high profile people releasing a perfume. They're always going to get haters, and they're always going to get people knock the product even before they've tried it, which is just, you know, it's a sad state of affairs, but I'm afraid that's kind of what goes on in the world at the moment, and that's just not really fair. The perfume is good. If it was released by anybody else, everybody would love it, I can guarantee that. So, you know, when you're going to inevitably read lots of different opinion and reviews on it, just bear in mind, focus on the perfume itself, which is a very good perfume, and one that I'm actually really, really enjoying, and certainly one that I'm going to be getting some wear out of. So I'd just like to say at the end of the video, from me and Rich, thank you very much to Aaron and to Chris for sending the perfume over. And trust me, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. It's a really good perfume, and I hope it does really well. It should do, because it smells great. So there you have it. That's my take on Smolder from Aaron Terence Hughes and Chris from Fragmental. Well done, chaps. I love this one. Thanks very much. Cheers and bye.